Alright, so I started this yesterday. I only got 1 hour in. Well, I shouldn't say I started this yesterday. I started this a couple of days ago, the beginning of the week. But yesterday I started painting the portrait. And I only got about 1 hour and 40 minutes in. Because what I always say, life gets in the way, right? So today, it is about 11 a.m. and I am going to continue with what I have here. A very good lesson I received was to not change what I have done in the previous session, mainly because it's easy to doubt your work the following day, and you shouldn't. And if I was honest to what I was working and I was honest to my work ethic, then whatever I have down is or should be my capacity. It should be 100% what I could do. So today, I'm not a better thinker or painter than I was yesterday. It's foolish to think so. So I just have to trust what I have and continue moving forward. That's not to say that I'm not going to come back to it and rework it. I will do that. However, when I decide to do that, it will be under the context of a more developed painting. So right now yesterday I painted the portrait, and it had some context around it, some relationships I was making between the background and the portrait. That portrait will now inform the rest of my painting. Hope that made sense. Okay, usually, I like to continue based on from my last point. So I was here, which is the neck area of this portrait. So I'm going to continue down the back. Two things I want to do. I want to establish this value between what's in the shadow and what's in the light area first. I like to paint or mix a color of the local light value first, because it shows me, or it guides me into figuring out what the shadow color would be. A shadow is just a darker, lower value version of the local hue in light. So this is a white dress. This shadow color is going to be the white color in shadow. There will be some reflected light in it, but that's secondary. You could put that in the back burner. You could deal with that later. Okay, so I'm going to figure out this. Usually, if I weren't painting for a video, I would be mixing on my hand palette here. My left hand, my palette knife. But because of this setup, and because I want to share this with you, I'm going to be mixing up here. Which is why I end up holding it on the bottom, because it shakes a little with the palette knife. which, by the way, I think is a problem with the Manfrotto arm, not the parallel palette. I'm looking behind it, and I can see the Manfrotto is what's shaking here, what's moving here. And I've tried to tighten it. It doesn't tighten anymore. The screw's too long. I would have to like shave off a piece of that screw in order to get the two surfaces to tighten like that. Or, yeah, that's what I gotta do. But I shouldn't have to do that for something so expensive. It's frustrating. But the palette's nice. This, nice palette. Good job, David. David Cassan, by the way, for people who don't know. Who I've yet to meet. I've met so many artists in my years of painting, and I have not yet met David Cassan, if I'm even pronouncing that right. White. Okay. So real quickly, I've got very little white here. And you remember when I started this little process here, how I started from the dark value of the hair and I walked up to the value of the lighter value of the hair. I wasn't happy with that start, which is why I'm starting the other way today. And that goes back to what I said yesterday. I think I said it yesterday. I was talking about remaining fluid, responding to challenges in a organic way. There are no real rules in art. I think the rule is to remain organic, to remain efficient, organic, efficient. Those are good rules. So I guess there are rules. The rule is to stay organic and efficient. Alright, so I need some white. I'm really liking this white, but I'm looking at it and it says PW6 and PY42. I'm suspicious of PW6. I gotta look that up, guys. You want to stay away from titanium. Don't listen to what I just said. You want to stay away from zinc white. Titanium white is good. Okay, so titanium white is PW6, zinc white is PW4, so this is awesome. This is titanium white and some sort of yellow, PY42. I should have known better. I mean, this is, Michael Hardy knows what he's doing. Man, I'm so glad I experimented with this white. It's so buttery, I guess. I don't know. It's nice. It's really nice. Creamy. So creamy. All right. So something I noticed, it's so odd. My brain immediately goes to the color of the highlights or the colors just around the highlights within the local light, and it accepts that very small dash of color as the local color. It's good that I know this about myself because I'm able to go, oh, that's bright white. wait, I know this thing about me. Let me zoom in on that and slowly expand my focus. Okay, that bright white that I'm seeing there is actually a highlight or a very small section of that local color within the local color. The local color is actually outside of that, and it is not that bright white. It is a lower value white, and it's pretty warm in comparison to the highlight. Which makes sense because this is a figure in outdoors, and it would have cool light falling on it. So it makes sense that the highlight is cool. All right. So I'm gonna add a little warmth to that. It's gotta be very little. Now check this out. I'm going to add a little burnt umber to it, and it's probably going to be too much. So what I do is, if that's the case, then I would take some mass away from this and add more white to it. However, I don't think that's the case this time. I'm going to squint a little and compare. This is really important. It's important to make the plane of my palette knife as similar as I can to the plane of the surface. Because if I tilt it just a little, it's going to change. Especially if I tilt it towards or away from the light. By just a little. It changes drastically. Enough that it's going to affect my decisions. This looks very violet. It needs yellow. Which is fine because yellow and violet are opposites on the color wheel. So this should give me a neutral. It's way cooler than this. Okay. I'm going in the wrong direction, it looks like. I'm going to attempt to add blue to this without this turning green. We'll see what happens. It's close. It's really close. You know, my face is too close to this this surface. That's got a lot to do with it. I think it needs more yellow. That could have been too much yellow. It's a very strong yellow. That yellow is stronger than my white. This is pretty close. It just needs more white now. Oh, this may be it. Take a step back. Look at that. Look how different this is from white. Check this out. That's the color I mixed up just now. Let me clean my palette. I don't know if I could focus on that. Let me see. That's a huge difference. I don't know if the video's picking up on this. That's the warm white, which already has a hue in it. It has PY something, PY42 in it. And here is me mixing into it. Big difference. I like it. All right. So the shadow color, this back here, is a dark version of that. It's this in shadow. It's a lower value of that. So if this were a value number 8, let's say, on a scale of 0 through 10, then, well, let me be more specific. On a scale of 0.5 through 9.5, if that were an 8, then this has got to go down a lot. This palette parallel palette, is a value 5, and this looks darker than the 5, so we're talking about maybe a value 4. So this has to get darker than the palette knife, the parallel palette. All right. How do I do that? I can see that this, the hue, the temperature of this is a cool. So I'm going to push this into a cool. How do I do that? I am going to grab some blue. I am going to grab some burnt umber. I'm going to mix them together. Essentially, I'm making a black. However, I want this black to lean towards blue, because I have already determined that on this print, the shadow is cool in temperature. I'm going to take this mixture and put it off to the side. I'm going to mix some white into it in order to open up the color. When I say open up a color, that means that it's so dark in mass tone. This is the mass tone. that I can't really judge it correctly. So you take a little bit of white and you'll get to see the properties. So this is not something I want to use as a mixture right now. This is just me opening this box, looking to see what it looks like. Or opening it up to see what's inside. So it's cool, it's what I'm looking for. It's blue. Check. Do I want it to be that cool? I don't think so. I think it's way too cool. So I'm going to add more burnt umber to it. Now I'm remembering the situation I had yesterday where I wasn't mixing with enough paint. That was very frustrating. So I'm going to dip in here and grab all the blue. I'm going to get rid of this other color that's there. It's going to mess up my mixture. And going to add more color to my palette. That way I don't have to interrupt myself later. So more blue. More umber, burnt umber. And this means that I'm going to have to reopen Pandora's box over here. Reopen the mass tone. It's crazy. It's important to have more than one type of art going at the same time. But it's painting, sculpture, drawing, whatever, printmaking, whatever. Just have more than one project going at the same time. Because I got on this only because it was a gray day out and I couldn't work on my cast. But now I'm excited about this. So I'm going to continue working on this. And that's the best time to work, is when you're excited about something. Okay, so I'm going to take this away. And I don't think I showed you guys this, but no jokes, all right? When I have a substantial amount of paint on my palette knife, I just don't take it off on a rag or on a piece of paper, because then I waste a lot of paper. So instead I just wipe the blade in a can, any can. So I just grab a can. And this will last me like a year before I fill it up. So it saves a lot of paper. Okay. So I'm going to open this up. Yes. See that? It's cool. But it wasn't as chromatic as the other pool. I like that a lot. Okay. Now I gotta mix. Big glob of that. And like I said before, I want to not run out of paint. Hate running out of paint. I'm ridiculously happy with these colors. Oh boy. I got a problem now. And I'm gonna have to buy these paints. Man. Okay. This is very yellow, so let's go straight to the yellow. And again, I'm trying to match that. And you see how I mix? I mix like this. This is the fastest way to mix. Especially when you get really good at it. I like to look at other fields of study and appropriate ways that they work. And pharmacists are taught to mix like this. I don't know what they call the technique. I'm sure it has a name. But this is how they mix their medicines. So this looks like it's approaching the right value, however, this is the wrong temperature. So there's not much on this, which is why I used my paper. This needs more yellow. Perhaps too much. Okay, this is really close. In terms of hue, it just looks a little darker than what I have up there. It's gotta get yellower. It's important to stand back like I just did. Look at that, it's even closer now than it was before. I'm on the right track. Let's lighten this up with some white. Needs a little bit more white. I like how this white is not very strong. In terms of strength, it mixes like a lead white. In terms of the chemical reaction that this mass of paint has with the paint, it's different from the way stack lead white mixes. Stack lead white almost disintegrates into the paint, almost like sugar in hot water. Whereas this is like an active shaking and mixing. Alright, going back to this. Needs more white. But the amount of paint required, the amount of white paint required to lighten this mixture is substantial, which is how I feel about the stack lead white. Needs more yellow. The issue here, the problem, was I used too much burnt umber. It's not bad because it gave me more paint that I now have to work. Now I have more paint to work with. I'm gonna put more white in it. much more white in it. More yellow in it. More white in it. Oh, it's so close. This is a lot of white, but it's a lot of paint. Take a step back. I am not happy with it. Okay. Definitely a different white. Okay. Now, I've got a lot of paint here. I don't want to have this much paint. So I'm going to throw some of it away. I don't want to add more paint to that without taking some paint away. Okay. There we go. Got it. If I would have left that mass of paint here, it would have taken all of that paint. And I would have had this huge glob unnecessarily, just wasting medium. So it's better to waste that little glob of paint than to keep adding to it. Okay. So this is my local value right here. I'm going to use this local value and slowly introduce it into that dark until I reach the value of this line of tangency, where, or also know the terminator line, where the light meets the shadow. That's the darkest part of this. also going to clean my palette a little bit. This is the path that I'm going to use. Soon. Alright. Just going to grab a little bit. Maybe less. And mix it in. There's nothing on this print this dark. There's a long way to go. Let's see what that does. Way too dark. Just for curiosity, in terms of value, that's it right there. Maybe even lighter than this. So I can mix until I'm lighter than that. Look at that. If this were a value of 5, this is lighter than this. So I was wrong about saying what I said about the dark being darker than this. It's actually lighter than that. So it's like, it could be a 6 or a 5.5. This may be too much. Yeah, I don't want to ruin this darkness by going too far. Yeah, that was a good call, because this is already pretty darn dark. Pretty darn light, I mean. But I want to achieve this value. This may do it. Nope, not there yet. Now, this is not the fun part of painting. This is a part of painting, but for me, this is not where the fun is. The fun is once I have a string of color going across here, and I'm adding other hues to it and pushing this string in, I'm tugging on it from with different hues. That's the fun part. Right now, I just want to get this foundation in. The backbone of this figure. gotta get a little lighter than that. That's gotta be it. Okay. If this is too dark, I'll be able to fix it on the fly. And I'm going to get rid of this because this will expand in different directions. And you'll see. Going to put out some linseed oil. Okay. So right now I'm spreading out this paint a little more. I don't feel it needs oil or medium. And I am going to put in this terminator line. And I'm holding my brush at the very end, here, like this. I put the end of the brush in the palm of my hand. And a lot of times I'll push up like this and bring it back down. I kind of do the same thing with the mahl stick. Hold it back here. And the reason I try not to put physical contact between my body and the surface is because it breaks that fourth wall. I want to believe that I'm creating space. So as long the less contact I have with the space, the more I can trick myself into believing that I'm creating an alternate reality here. Okay. So now, it's important for me to put in the rest of this shadow shape. I'm going to do so by adding some of the local value, the local hue, to this end of it. And that was nowhere near enough. So I have several things going on here right now. I have the Terminator line. I have the color of the shadow, which I just mixed. And I have the color of the local hue, the local color there. Alright, first thing I want to do is put in the shape. And just as a time check, I started at 11, and I'm not really starting to paint until, it took me an hour, 55 minutes to get here. Wow. Too long. Okay, so I can see that as I'm working across this shadow shape, that it gets dark again. Right over here. And then it lightens back up. As I work my way across the shadow shape. And as I put in this shape, I'm looking at this abstract. I'm not thinking, oh, this is the left part of her pelvis, and this is the her left latissimus dorsi, and this is the back end of her bicep over here. I'm not thinking of that. No, I'm thinking of this contrast. It makes like a line, this edge right here. Makes like a big shape here, or makes an even bigger shape like this. That's what I'm looking at. And as I come this way, I can see the shadow shape gets dark again. And what's important about what I'm talking about right now is that I'm not bouncing around and saying, oh, this is dark, and this is dark, and now this is dark over here. That's not what happened. Rewind this tape. This tape. Just dated myself. Rewind this video. I started with the Terminator line. I worked into the rest of the shape. As I worked my way down, I got dark again. And I worked my way across here, and I worked my way down. As I got to the right, it got dark again. So I'm working with my form. I'm feeling my way around in the dark, almost like this is a little morbid, but a fireman would when they're on their hands and knees on all fours, and they're crawling through a blacked out, smoked room. They can't rely on their eyes. They have to rely on their sense of touch, and they're just feeling for the walls, feeling for the furniture, eventually, hopefully, grab hold of a body and extract. So that's what I'm doing. I'm feeling my way around. This form. It just so happens to be that I'm feeling my way around with this specific paint. And as I want to come across this way, I can see it's getting lighter. So I was using this paint, and it's getting lighter. So I'm going to move this way. And do I want to add white to make this lighter in value? I may want to, but I shouldn't. Because white is the context of this palette. White is not the context of this composition. This local value here, which I have pre-mixed here, is the context of this composition. So I'm not going to dip into white and introduce it here. I'm going to introduce this here. And I'm comparing. And what's fun about this is I can grab some of that paint, because I need mass here. See, and you can see I'm no longer using my palette knife. I'm just mixing with my brush. This is where it's fun for me. I'm confident in my mixtures, and I can focus on other things. And I'm comparing this new mixture of this value to that one. I think it's light enough in value. I'm going to go back to where I left off, which was down here somewhere. And I'm going to work my way across this form. I'm working my way up like this. I think it can get lighter. So I'm going to grab more paint. And this is why it's so important to have a nice amount of paint. So I'm not going back to step one, which was mix the lightest light and the darkest dark. That part's behind me. Moving forward, I'm going to grab some more local value. I'm going to mix it into here with my brush. It's not light enough. And this is where I left off, so this is where I'm going to continue. I'm going to work my way up, 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 up. some darkness over here. It's a different temperature, it's the same value. Let's add some burnt umber to make it warmer. Now, why didn't I use that warmer, this warm, instead of this warm? Because that's too chromatic. It's too bright. I'm in a very low saturated, low value area. Can't be changing the chroma scheme here. I think this change in temperature is appropriate over here too. Maybe a little bit over here. I think it's lighter as it goes up. So I'm going to grab some more of this. And I'm going to check on my phone because it's buzzing like crazy. Life. All right, so I think it's a good time to take a break since I was interrupted. Gonna stop the camera, take a 5-minute break or something like that, and continue. This is a bad time to take a break because what I want to do is blend in these edges where the terminator line meets into the shadow color. All down here, all these different stripes have to blend together real smoothly before I continue, before I move forward.